Hey, hi guys. Thank you so much for having us here. Today we're going to talk about how DataHub, how we've adopted DataHub as in our Deutsche Telekom Digital Lab, and how did we have used DataHub to generate some great practical outcome, which I'll be covering through. But before going into the details, maybe just to quickly brush up on what exactly who we are and what exactly we do. Shishidhar Singhal, who works as Director of Engineering with Deutsche Telekom Digital Labs, and we have with us um, Karan, who is working as Senior Data Engineer in our data team. Today we're going to take you through how DataHub has been adopted by us in our journey towards building the outcome-based data ecosystem for our company. So we work with Deutsche Telekom, which is a leading global telecommunication provider in the world, and it has services from mobile up to the internet services and up to the various business lines which it spans through. We have our headquarter in Bonn, and recently we have been quantified as one of the number one telecom brand in the world and number one brand in the Europe. And we are also way ahead. We also surpassed Instagram and Tesla in terms of brand valuation. So that's how big we are. Um, 5 to 6 years back, DT realized that although they have a huge scale in terms of customers, business, valuations, but they have been falling behind by a huge margin in terms of digitization. Everybody is catching up the game of being digitalized, and DT has been falling behind in this game because of some known challenges. So DT has telecommunication in 11 countries, and the solutions which we are trying to build is quite complex because of the diverse nature of these different 11 countries. This is where the DTDL, Deutsche Telekom Digital Labs, born, and we took up this challenge to understand the core conceptual problems before we start building these product pipelines for DT. So what makes it interesting, even more interesting for us, is how can we build a single solution for 11 different countries. All of them have their own different complexities in terms of their infrastructure, in terms of their demographics of the customers. And this is where it becomes interesting for us. And we wanted to build these modern solutions for the European countries, at the same time keeping embracing their legacy complexities, because as any other country, as any other company in the world, we also have lot many legacy systems with us, right? So we took up this challenge to understand deeply these problem statements and still come back with one architecture, with one solution for 11 different kind of problems. And this is where we started working, building these digital products for our European customers. If I talk about a couple of them, we started building mobile app, one which we call as One App. It's a self-care app, it's a flagship product, which is wherein you can go and book your, let's say, data packs. You can do your tariff changes all by a few bits of fingers, right? We also started building firmware for our hardware systems, like we are telco. So we deliver set-top boxes and router devices. So we started building the firmware for those hardware devices. We also have started exploring new cutting edge technologies of AI and have started building LLM based bots for our customer call centers to solve the problems of long calls and long waiting times. So I think the core is how deeply we understand these problems and still build the one solution. And that's why you will see one in all of the products which we have, because that's the purpose we live with. While we were building these digital products, we also realized that we need to have a very strong data strategy so that we build the product which are data driven. We just don't build the product which are just gut based feeling, right? So This is the purpose statement, or the purpose statement we kept for us, which is, um, we thought data is always a closed loop. It has to start from a customer, and it has to end up generating the value for the customer. We don't want it data as a side product, which is just doing reporting and analytics. So if you see from the top, we have the customer at the top, which interact with us on a daily level for different domain channels. From these domain channels, we collect lot many interactions about our customers, and then we generate domain level analytics and reporting. We also then combine this data to create a unified customer layer so that we understand our customer more, not our products. We want to understand customer deeply. And this is where we have started building our knowledge graphs based on LMs and other technologies. And these two concepts, then the domain context and our customer context, is what we are trying to feed into the products, which then ultimately gives value, the add values back to the customer. So this is the purpose. This is how we see every problem which lands into our bucket. And to enable this, I think the most important part is this platform capabilities at the bottom, because we believe that as a data team, how much we invest in our foundation and optimize our foundation platforms, we will enable building these products even more faster. Moving on, maybe a one level deeper into the stack which we have today. So we started with the thought that we'll have an open architecture. We need to have a fast setup approach. We need to have elastic computes in our ecosystem. We need to have data as a service, right? So if I think about these components, they build up the important elements of our MDS stack, the modern data stack. And this is where we opted the AWS as a cloud hyperscaler. And if I talk about on the left side, we also fundamentally categorize our data sources into three different levels. One is the products which in our hands of our customers, our digital products. We have data sources coming in from some third party vendors whom we work with, and we also have a lot of data coming from local data lakes of our countries we work with. Now, once this data is captured, it goes through the same typical data product building life cycle, which is being able to ingest the right data in the right manner, being able to store the data in a more efficient way, being able to write the ETLs which are optimized, being able to give platforms for our data consumers so that they can work with this data, and also giving advanced platforms to our data scientists so that they can build some models and maybe bring out more data patterns out of that, right? And this data product then lands into creating two broad different categories of outcomes for the business. One is our actionable insight based dashboards, which on a daily level everybody in the company looks at and take decisions. And then uh, building the recommendation systems on the top, like how can we be smarter while giving our products and the offers to the customers. And while building this, there has been lot many different tool stack which we have been using. And while we were building this, we were feeling so proud and so confident that uh, we have the best data architecture, we have the best tooling in place, we will solve all our business and customer problems. But soon after reaching to this stage, we realized that there is something missing, because the speed at which we are generating the output is not enough for the business. There has been lot many gaps which we find out by having instance based discussion with our stakeholders. And this is where we initiated a very collaborated and deep down discussions with our data practitioners. So we had lot many water cooler discussions, we had closed room discussions, we had whiteboard discussions, and we reached out to each and every stakeholder to understand what is stopping them, right? And this is where we get to know the real core of the problem. And maybe I'll hand over to Karan now to quickly share those insights which really helped us to find what was that was missing. Yeah, Karan.
Yes. Thanks, Shashi. So when we were having discussions with different people, so each and every persona had different problems, and so we tried analyzing what they had, and we summarized like what are the problems they are facing. So if I take an example of data analyst, so their core work is to generate insights and to find patterns. But most of the time they were spending in searching for the data and to understand if this data is trustable. If they are building the reports, will it be the right report actually? And then, so all the time they would be talking to data engineers. So I myself being a data engineer, I used to get a lot of calls, minimum 4 to 5 calls on a daily basis that, hey, where is this data? How can I get this data? And is this data trustable? Did the job run today or not? Then as data engineers also, we were facing a lot of problems. So let's say if new team members were not aware from where the data is flowing from source till target, if in case they want to debug anything in case of failures, it was quite challenging for them to know which are the downstream dependencies or upstream dependencies. And for security team also, so as Shashi mentioned that we work with 11 countries. So in case we are changing anything within the data, we have to take permission of 11 different countries. So it was quite difficult to basically make them understand that okay, this is the change we are doing, and it was not very collaborative. We had to spend a lot of time on this. And for security approval also, it was quite complex because there was no single place where he can see what are the changes and what all data is being changed. Yes. So after having this discussion, all these discussion, we categorize this into a software problem where on the left side we all the data stack, the tech stack we have, and on the right side of the data consumption part. So there was a gap in between the data consumer part and the data producer part. So that is where we realize that we need to have a data collaboration workspace where people can discover the data, govern the data, and trust the data. And all the security requirements are also fulfilled with this, um, so that all the security requirements can be fulfilled with this ecosystem or collaboration workspace. So this is where the data hub came into picture in our data ecosystem. We connected all our data ecosystem, all the tech stack which we had in our data ecosystem to data hub to achieve all the goals which we wanted to have for data discovery, lineage governance, and the collaboration also. So now I'll focus on how we actually implemented the data hub in our data ecosystem. So we deployed the data hub through Argo CD and connected our data hub to our enterprise SSO so that people do not waste time on managing their passwords, regular usernames and passwords. And we also implemented some custom plugins also, because we have our own some in-house built tools like schema registry and cable. We built custom plugins to connect data hub with these custom tools which we have, as well as for Apache NiFi also we use as we use Apache NiFi heavily for our event integration. So we had to do some customizations in the pre-built connector provided by Data Hub. And we so all the data assets which we connected or with connectors, a wide range of connectors provided by Data Hub. So all these are pull based, which means that so we just connect the our system to data hub, and it will pull all the metadata. And then we had put all the categorize ownership information, categorization, and uh, and the business glosses to govern the data. And After the implementation, I would say now DataHub is so integral part of our data ecosystem is that whenever any release happens from data side, there is a acceptance criteria mentioned that DataHub should be updated after the release. Then I'll just quickly cover like what all features we actually liked and adopted of DataHub. So asset onboarding, we so with just few clicks we were able to connect data with our ecosystem with our different tech stack. And then the discovery feature, we are able to search the metadata quickly. And then with the enhanced features which data provides to filter the metadata based on let's say platform and the tags, that is also it's really great, and we are able to use this. Yes. And then we have implemented the ownership information. We categorize, we put the date with all the data assets. We put who is the business owner, who is the data steward, and who is the technical owner. So that when we talk about data democratization, right? So so let's say if anyone is looking at the data and he has some questions, he needs to always know that whom to reach out to in case of any issues, maybe, or he wants to have some understanding. So he needs to reach out to different personas. Maybe he just want to understand the business context of the data set. So he might be reaching out to business owners, or if there is some issue with the data set, he might directly reach out to the technical owners. And then tags we have implemented, which is uh, let's say security team wants to understand like what all PI data we have within our ecosystem. So we tag our data sets and even the columns also with the PI tag so that data security team can quickly filter out and audit our ecosystem. And then the most cool feature I would say is the data lineage for a data engineer. So with this data lineage feature, we are now able to track all the dependencies, upstream dependencies and downstream dependencies. And in case of any feature, now we are able to quickly identify that who all down are the downstream consumers of that particular process. And we are now able to quickly inform them also. Yeah, with this,
Okay.
I'll hand over to Shashi.
Thanks, Karan. Perfect. I think this is the most interesting part for me because apart from the fundamental or the fantastic features which DataHub brings in, we are able to actually convert those features into some of the practical outcomes which we are able to achieve both on the technical and on the business ground for us. For instance, to name a few, DataHub is the integral part right now for us to build GenAI based data analytics platform, wherein we are trying to enable non-technical, technical, anybody in the company to be able to get the answers of their questions by simply typing a natural language, like they're talking to a bot, right? So now it's a LLM powered bot which we have built for ourselves, and uh, in LLM, right, context is the king for your query, and all this context depend upon how good our metadata is in our ecosystem. This is where DataHub comes and solve this complex problem for us. To very open, we have been trying to build this in the last 2 3 years, but now we have that maturity of catalog that we are able to push this through, and it is actually in production, wherein business is coming and just typing the questions and getting the answers back. The second important thing which we build is PI sprawl is definitely real, wherein no matter what, how much documentation you do, PI data is sprawling in your system. And this is where we again utilize the power of DataHub to find the metadata and run a ML model on the top, and being able to flag those specific fields or the pipelines wherein this PI information is flowing. And the important part was that with the help of data, we are able to push this information back to our catalog so that people can see, be it a security or a business person, that somebody has flagged this data as a PII data, right? The third important piece is we have been scaling like anything. I think every company is right now, and onboarding people on a bigger, a huge data stack is a time-taking activity, right? So what we have realized fundamentally is that our onboarding time of new folks, be it an analyst or a business person or an engineer, has dropped from weeks to some days, because DataHub has lot many up to date documentation information in it. And the last two talks about the efficiency in the system which we have been able to achieve, both from the operational and the maintenance perspective. For instance, our mean time to resolve a particular incident has dropped by a huge margin, because now we are able to stitch our pager duty or the alert system with our data hub, so that when somebody gets an alert, operational alert of something not working, he can pick the ID and directly go to the data hub and see what could be the impacted downstream or the upstream system, and hence fixing those has become much faster. Similarly, there has been lot many dead pipelines which have been present in our ecosystem, which we were not aware, and we all wanted to be cost aware in the cloud infrastructure. But with this lens which DataHub has provided, we are able to spot those dead pipelines and transformation which we don't need, right? So we were able to kill lot many of them, which has really helped us to move in this journey of being cost aware. So these are four or five, I would say. Some of them, they are more, but they are the top five actual practical outcome which we are able to drive with the help of DataHub. There are few while working with the DataHub, wherein it's kind of a top wish list for us. There has been many, but the platform has been evolving at a phenomenal rate. One thing which we keep on thinking is if we can have good approval flows to access certain data set right from the data hub, rather than having those Jira and all those things in place. And maybe having more integration with the alerts in different channels like Teams and emails. I think it has with the Slack, but we use more Teams and the emails if something goes bad. And also if we can have the filter or the grouping of elements in the lineage, because sometimes pipeline is bigger from, let's say, app up till the consumption point. There has been lot many elements which come into the place, and sometimes become difficult to see all of them in one single pane of glass. So if somehow we can able to filter or group these elements, then definitely it would be a game changer feature for us. Yeah. So I think this is it. I think one important thing I would really like to mention is the community support is huge. We have been stuck multiple times in this journey of last 1.5 years, and team whenever has reached out to DataHub community or the Acryl, I think we have been able to get much faster responses with us. So thank you so much for the whole community and the Acryl team for this. Thanks again for having us here, and you guys can reach out to us on LinkedIn for further details.